Welcome to Collecting Chaos. My name is James, and it's March 17th, 2026, which is why I'm wearing green. It's St. Patrick's Day. Uh, in this video, I ran across a comic while I was cleaning them and getting prepped for pressing. And the pages were really dry. I mean, I was a little bit concerned. So, let's watch the first part of the video here. So you need to check your comics. I was going through preparing comics for my press, and I came across this Billy the Kid. This is number 128, and it has some sun fading or UV fading, and it needs to be cleaned up a little bit, probably with some soap or surfactant. I'm using betaine currently with water. And aside from that, it looks okay. If the color wasn't faded like that, it might even press out to a high grade, but it is. Now, I started going through this middle or through the other one just to make sure there's no dirt on the inside. And I do this with every comic that I press. And I noticed the pages feel a little dry. Now, normally when I press a comic, if everything looks okay and it cleans up all right, I'll just steam the cover. But in this case, even though there's no water damage, because of the dryness of the pages, I'm going to go ahead and put it in my humidity chamber for, probably 4 to 6 hours. It shouldn't take longer than that. And that's just to add a little moisture back into the pages, make them more supple again. And once it's done, I'll show it to you again. I'll show you the difference. But as of right now, these pages they're a little stiff. They feel dry. They don't feel like normal comic paper. So that's what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to put it in my humidity chamber before I press it. And then I'll show you the results. Probably I'll save this video and show you the results in this video. Now, normally when I prep a comic for pressing, it'll be 2 or 3 days after I prep it before I actually get a chance to press it. Because I keep, 12 to 18 comics available, ready to go, ready to put in the press. But I decided to accelerate this one and put it in right away. So the first thing I had to do was put it in the humidity chamber. Now, I've seen a lot of people online do their humidity chamber, and they have steam in it, or they heat the water, or they use a sponge, and they'll be using this big tall tub, and you don't need all of that. I use about a 6 to 8 inch tub. It's not very tall. A 4 inch, or actually it's closer to about a 2 inch. It's an old card box is what it is, and I use that to hold up the little rack that I put the comic on. I have a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch of water in the bottom of it. It doesn't take much because you don't need a lot of steam or heat. You need surface area, because once you close that lid, it's going to humidify anything in there no matter what. And I've done that with the temperature being like 30 degrees, and I still get humidity of 30 degrees outside. which means that room that I do all that stuff in is about 35, 36 degrees. It's a little warmer, but not much. And I still get a good humidification just with the water. I don't need heat. And that's important for people to realize. The paper will absorb the moisture that's in that air. And there will be moisture in the air inside that tub because you put a top on it. And that's how I do it. You don't need hot water. You don't need, and you put hot water in, what happens? The hot water gets cold. That's all there is to it. You need surface area. And so I have a pretty big tub. I've shown it before. And that's how I do it. Now I let this comic sit in there for I think 3 to 4 hours. I don't think it was longer than that. It might have been 5, but I don't think it was much longer than that because I had a couple of magazines that needed to be humidified so I could press them. And magazines, I press them the same day I prep them. So, tomorrow, I'll be prepping this ElfQuest #2 second print. Uh, and it's had water damage and it needs a humidification before I can press it. So I need to get that in there tomorrow, and then I'll probably put this in tonight and then pull it out in the morning and press it. And I use a different press for my magazines than I do the comic books. So I get 7 comics a week and 35 comics. It's a lot of comics, magazines. So, like I said, you don't need heat. You just need a small amount of water in the bottom and have it raised up so that whatever you're humidifying doesn't get wet. It absorbs the moisture, but it doesn't get wet. Now, in this second part, I've already put it in a humidity chamber and I've already pressed it. And let's go watch that now. All right. Now, normally there's a couple of days between the time I prep a comic and the time I press it. But I went ahead and pressed this early since I'm doing a video based on it. I just want to show you how well, of course, the press turned out really nice. But I just want to show you the pages that were stiff. They're nice and supple now. And I only left it in the humidity chamber for about 4 hours. And yeah, it turned out really nice. That's all you have to do. And I don't use hot water. I don't heat the water. It's room temperature water, whatever it is. I think that room's about 45 or 50 degrees right now. And because it got colder here in Texas again for a couple of days. And yeah, that's all you need to do. Now we're going to go ahead and just for giggles, I'm going to see if we can polish this up a little bit and maybe bring some of the color back to it. I don't think it's going to work. Before I do the bottom half, let me get a little reflection on there so you can see. Yeah, it's got a little bit on there, but not much. So we're going to go over it with this and see what happens. And this is an unscented dryer sheet. I'm putting a little bit of pressure on it. It's still going to go into cold press. Now, I don't do this before I do a hot press. I will do it in between a hot and a cold press. And all I'm trying to do is bring out a little bit of that shine, if it has any left. To me, it looks better. I don't know if you can see it or not. But yeah. Look at the back. Got a little bit of shine. If you do it to the front, you do it to the back. Actually, if you do it to the outside, you should do it to the inside, but I'm not going to polish the inside. I just don't want to. That looks, to me, it looks better. I don't know if you can tell any difference or not. Yeah, I think it. I think you can. I think you can see that the glare or the shine is better than what it was. Same thing on the front. All right, let me go ahead and put this in the cold press. Like I said, the pages are a lot more supple now. Before they were a little bit stiff. And all I did was put it in the humidity chamber for 3 or 4 hours. I think it was about 4 hours. So, well, there it is. Really a simple job to do to add a little moisture to your comic pages if they feel dry. And a lot of times you get a Silver Age comic or a Bronze Age comic, it might feel dry, and this is the solution. This is how to add moisture. Now you can go through and you can steam every page if you want to do that, but that takes, I mean, that's physically it takes a long time, but it's quicker than putting it in a humidity chamber. The humidity chamber is going to take a minimum of 3-4 hours. But you can go do other things. You don't have to sit there and babysit it. Whereas if you're using a steamer to steam every page, you kind of got to be there, you know? That comic is currently being cold pressed. It'll be in my cold press for 48 hours. Every comic book I press with heat goes into cold press for 48 hours. And that's the way I do it. And it helps to prevent reversion. And we'll talk about reversion some other day. That's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope maybe you learned something. And in the meantime, take care, everybody. I'll see you tonight. Well, not tonight, because it's St. Patrick's Day. I'll see you Wednesday night, which when you're watching this will be tonight. And I always get confused by that. 8 p.m. Central, Coffee with Chaos. I may or may not be wearing my green shirt. Take care, everybody. Do all that YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, and recommend this to your friends. Bye. You can recommend it to your enemies if you want. I don't care.